Alright guys, so here we go. Looks like I've got another Masters Protoss versus Masters Protoss replay to give you guys. And I just gotta say, the past three have been pretty good from Tydrokos. I really like it. He's kind of getting 2 steps ahead of his opponent in the way he thinks. I will reiterate on that later, but of course I don't want to ruin this replay by giving you details as to the other 3 replays that I've seen him playing. But here we are in the upper left-hand corner. Spawning is our red toss. It's not Tydrokos. I don't want to confuse you guys. It's actually Quinn Vision. And in the lower left-hand corner, everybody's favorite Protoss in eXeA team, eXeA Tydrokos. Now, there is one thing I want to kind of point out. There is a red button on the right side of my screen. It says subscribe, and it should be flashing right now. It should be highlighted. Go ahead and click. Could you guys do me a huge favor and just go ahead and click on that? Alright, so the map we're on is GSL Whirlwind. Oh, excuse me, not GSL, it's actually Whirlwind, LE. One thing that I like about this map is just due to the sheer size, it's kind of basically designed for macro games. I don't know how large this replay is in size, so I really can't tell you, and this is the ultimate surprise about it. That's what I love about this. I actually got this replay out of an entire pack. So I'm just a little curious to see how this is going to play out. Kind of reminds me, maybe I should go looking for the MLG replay pack and then try casting that, see how many subscribers I get. But anywho, we do have Quinn sending out his first probe, trying to get a read on what Dyer's trying to do. Or Dyer, wow, Tydro is trying to do. Dye, the first syllable in both of those names kind of, they rhyme, so it threw me off just a little bit. Double gas being thrown down within 2 seconds of each other, so I'm thinking this, there's a lot of different things that this could be. Basically, what I'm going to tell you is right now we're going to see something that you would hit V to build come out not as soon as the cybernetics core is finished, but shortly afterwards. We do have a second gas just now being tacked on for Quinn Vision. And I'm just a little curious, what. There is an obvious reaction to this, like there's an obvious reason for him doing this. It's because he's trying to keep up in tech or counter what we see from Tydro. I think this was actually a reactionary one. Perhaps, just perhaps, Vision's original plan was to take an expo. By the way, if you guys speak Chinese as well, I also cast in Chinese, so if you guys would like to go ahead and, I don't know, maybe subscribe. You guys can see a white guy casting in Chinese. Selling my minority. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, both players just kind of slowly tacking on the gateways. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing, so I'm going to do this. But interestingly enough, this is the boldest thing I know about Tydro. He will never send out a worker to scout his opponent. That is the most interesting thing I find about him. And it looks like this is that definitive tech up that I was talking about, guys, the advanced structure that we were waiting for, the Twilight Council. I know that whenever Tydro does make a Twilight Council, more often than not, he will try to follow it up with a Dark Shrine. This is just, something I noticed about his playstyle in PvP. It's not a bad idea, it really isn't. And in the last few replays that I've casted of him, it really paid off. He's, kind of oversaturating his natural. Nothing wrong with that right now because presently he's actually on 17 workers, and I want to say that it looks like he's actually opting to take an expo behind this. Meanwhile, hiccups, wow. Yep, there it is, the Dark Shrine going down. We actually have Vision moving out, trying to put some pressure on Tydro right now. Question is, what kind of tech do we see from Vision? Stargate. Where are you, you little bugger? Right at the top of my screen. And the 3 stalkers come up, but they don't go in, interestingly. Perhaps afraid of those losses that may be incurred. This was just to check and see if there's an expo. Both players are basically within rock throwing distance of each other. And, oh, that would have been big if Tydro had actually managed to make his opponent waste a stalker. But of course, this is the you know, I've seen so many players doing this recently in PvP. They actually start with a sky opener of some sort, and then they follow it up into the late game with Mass Void Ray, because it actually counters Mass Stalker quite well due to the prismatic alignment and the fact that Void Rays do get, if nothing less than a temporary buff for about 20 seconds versus Stalkers. And now, of course, we do have 2 DTs out on the map for Tydro. They were placed at the proxy pylon that's over here on the minimap. And this is what I enjoy about Tydro's play. He's actually reading so deep into this. The thing is, with the Oracle out over here, there's virtually no detection for Vision to take, and that's the irony of his name, Vision. He's got no way of detecting those DTs that are going into his natural right now. But this is a beautiful kind of solid-ish wall off that we have from Vision. Excellent reactions, but he's not going to pull back that Oracle. Quite the bold move, and oh my god, how many workers did Tydro lose there? No, this can't be right. He lost 6 workers. Ah, they were all on gas. I was about to say. Okay. So here we go. Because his opponent has no detection presently, this is one move that I admire quite well. He's actually opting to harass the natural, but now he's actually pulling back that DT because he doesn't want to waste a supply. And for now, Vision is just kind of on the defensive. We did see that Tydro did return damage there, but he still hasn't gotten his natural up and running yet. He's just now putting it down. But still, as long as he continues to play defensively, I think he'll be just fine. So 4 gateways altogether for Vision. Basically, we got Tydro waiting here for another 60 seconds to pass, so he'll be able to throw in his DT. There's not enough energy on this for a Vision just yet, and it looks like he's going to try and kill the most gas costly units, and this is actually quite effective harass by Tydro. And he's getting a few probe kills out of it. And I don't think we see any real adequate reaction from Vision just yet. We do have just Tydro being persistent with that DT, and it falls, unfortunately. But now we have Tydro moving out with 4 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. But his opponent has 4 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, a Zealot, an Oracle, and a Mothership Core. The thing is, you know, if you just, in terms of mirror matchups, especially PvP, we actually see both players very rarely, very seldom actually getting upgrades, at least in the early stage of the game. And here we go. It looks like Vision's going to get a couple more probe kills here. There's going to be one more. He's actually targeting down the sentries right now. That's actually a little critical and will help in later engagements. Looks like, oh my god. Oh, I love this by Tydro. He's just persistent with those DTs. He's just, you know, he's going to try and get as many probe kills as he can here. And, you know, he's actually gotten more workers killed than his opponent. But right now he's trying to pull back that DT for the moment. And both players are just painfully even in the worker count right now. But, of course, behind this, Tydro does see that there are Void Rays in production. That's quite important. So behind this, I think basically the meta game is we're just going to see Tydro continue to tack on. We're going to see Tydro continue to tack on more, what's the word I'm looking for? More, not Void Rays. He's going to tack on more gateways, and then he's going to just add more DTs to the composition, especially now with his newfound economic wealth, if you will. Another Oracle trying to come in here and, I guess, conjure up some harassment. The Pulsar Beam will only be able to get a handful of kills presently, but I think that Oracle's just waiting there to save some energy, maybe? Yes, there it is. It's actually going in. It's actually getting a couple more kills. And right now we see Vision going for the Robotics Bay. That's actually going to mean that we're going to have an extremely deadly composition from him. That means Colossi accompanying Void Rays, if we continue to see him crank out Void Rays, which is the case. Presently, ouch, that's got to hurt. He actually just chrono boosted on a supply block. Kind of a valuable loss there. Observer kind of moving out here, and this is actually the point in the game where we just kind of look at what Tydro's got, and we think to ourselves, he has no detection, at least not at his base's front line. This observer is just here to catch on to any oracles that may come his way. This one, speaking of, has 2 kills, and he's just waiting for the right opportunity to go back and attack. 3 Archons over here for Tydro. Looks like he's ready to move out and actually attack his opponent now. I believe Vision is not entirely oblivious to this, but right now the one thing you must bear in mind is that the Void Ray count is extremely low. There's not a single Colossus out on the map, and if there ever was a proper timing for Tydro to hit, now is it. He's actually lower in army supply than his opponent. Looks like the Oracle tried to come in here and get some more worker kills. He might have pulled it back. Yes, that's the same one that we saw from before. It's kind of just getting some vision out here, kind of just trying to scope his opponent. And you can see that there's 3 Archons here. That's actually the most critical part of it. Alright, here we go. 3 forward pylons, kind of tanking for damage. And I kind of did just have to cheat there and read and see what the third ability that the Oracle has. Now, one thing I want to point out is that Tydro is actually much, much lower in supply right now. He's going to have to pull back. You know, I think, yeah, definitely with only 6 Stalkers there, trying to attack 8 of them on high ground is not the best idea, especially when they are accompanied by Colossi and Void Rays. But Tydro's just kind of going into Mass Stalker from here. If we have Vision basically kind of dong naozi, that means, you know, use his head, then he's gonna have to, you know, continue to attack on more Colossi as well as more Void Rays. I think an even mix of both would be the smart choice for now. Maybe just kind of put the gateway units on pause. Let me see here. Of course, Colossi are also armored, but Stalkers have a limited buff versus Colossus. And I think it's interesting to note that we don't quite have any kind of Robotics Bay tech follow-up from Tydro just yet. Oracle's waiting here for any opportunities it may have to snipe some probes that are unlucky enough to venture their way. Alright, there we go. Void Ray 1 follows, and this is the big engagement that I don't think we wanted to see Tydro go into. Vision is actually still up in supply. One thing that I like he's doing about this, of course, if you guys just saw, is that this is basically a kind of contain. We see Vision basically opting to build up his supply. Excuse me, not his supply. He's actually opting to build up his army right now, while Tydro is expanding behind this, and this Oracle is back here trying to do as much damage as it can, but there's only so much it can do versus a Nexus, and I'm not going to see this Nexus fall to a single Oracle. No, sir. Tydro went ahead and warped in 4 Stalkers, and that's actually quite critical again, because that's 4 Stalkers that are not in the forward position here to engage, excuse me. Right now, Quinn Vision actually ahead in army supply. And the Mothership Core kind of calls in a warp in, actually a time warp, and it looks like Tydro's main army is going to pull back while it gets chased by Zealots. And unfortunately, the lead that we see from Tydro is not all that great, especially given the fact that his opponent was over here using an Oracle to snipe, and he did have to call in 4 Stalkers to deal with it. It did get 5 additional probe kills out of that. DT's going back into the main. I did miss that. And it looks like Vision actually thought he had dealt with all of them, but he did not. And, you know, Tydro's was basically returning damage. This is actually panning out to be a very interesting PvP. You know, huge shout out to Blizzard, guys. I love what you did with the meta game. And there's a warp in here from Tydro trying to take down the 3rd base of his opponent. If he can get that, that would actually be quite huge. The Zealots focusing it down, but now there's a Void Ray and 4 more Zealots, and it gets canceled. So right now we see Vision with actually a significant delay behind on his 3rd. Meanwhile, you know, Tydro is not too much further ahead. If we check the mineral income, the biggest difference that we see right now is, of course, the constant harassment that we see from Tydro. He's actually up double income almost. Actually, that's Vision that's almost up double income, because Tydro's main is about mine dry. So right now what we're going to see from Vision is a huge warp in of gateway units, maybe mostly Zealots. maybe accompanied by something else. And more DTs getting into the main. That's actually a lot of workers killed now by Tydro. You know, it's 52 to 39. And finally, we see the last DT from Tydro dispatched. And it looks like the main army kind of wanted to engage there with that of Tydro's. And Tydro finally has his own Void Rays out. Kind of gearing up for the late game. Just making the timing right. Mothership core here, just kind of sitting back home. Mama. Yeah, the mama ship. Mama ship core. Now, what I want to know is, like, it's very interesting to note that very few games last long enough for Protoss to actually warp in a mothership. I believe they have the same abilities as they did in More Harassment, of course, from Tydro. You know, he's just not giving up. He's not letting up with those DTs. Of course, the gas income is the most important thing in the main right now because of these mineral lines that are, of course, mined dry. But that was easily dispatched of just now by Vision. He's like, okay, well, I figured you out. I'm not going to let you do this to me anymore. And he takes down the Warp Prism. We don't have another one on the way just yet from Tydro. Of course, we do have a Templar Archives on the way as well. And a gateway is now in production at the 3rd for Tydro. Looks like Quinn Vision wants to clear away these rocks to kind of get a better arc, if you will. Better concave is the word I'm looking for, actually. His army supply is actually 10 above that of Tydro's right now, and both sides actually going to be relatively even, but the main difference is Tydro will have more Void Rays than his opponent. Quinn not really, excuse me, Vision not really overcommitting to Void Ray production. You must bear in mind that Void Rays are very important in late game PvP because they kill anything that is armored within seconds of touching them, especially in mass like this. They seem to do okay in high numbers versus Archons, but you have to find a way to keep the Archons from reaching the Void Rays, and that mainly means sacrificing Zealots. But meanwhile, while this is all going on, we do have Vision actually having vision of what Tydro is doing here. And I apologize for the unusually high-pitched voice, guys. But I just thought it would be interesting to note that much. We do have more Archons, I think, from Vision than we do Tydro. Yes, just one more. We also have more Colossi, but the biggest problem is anti-air. Zealot run by into the natural. And that basically baits Tydro's entire main army. The question is just how is this going to work out? Tydro started out 40 supply less, and now we see him basically targeting down the Colossi of Vision. Tydro is actually down by supply in a massive amount. Tydro calls out GG, and he just leaves the game. So if you guys liked what you saw here, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. I'm going to be casting a PvT next between your favorite Protoss and I don't know who else. We'll find out soon.